Blessings, beautiful people. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Tara Kaur. I'm an energy therapist and yoga teacher. And today I want to talk about something that is perfect timing for this time of the year. It's the end of summer. So in Europe, in the Northern Hemisphere, we're approaching autumn as we head into September and end of September, which is autumn equinox. But you can generally feel that change of energy around this time, and today has been a very stormy day. I was actually going to wait until the sun came out so I could have better lighting for this video, but I thought, hey, this is actually perfectly in line with what I have to talk about today. And I know many of you, like me, have been through this topic, have been through this situation in their lives, and are maybe looking for tips out there that might help you. So I'm going to share what has helped me when it comes to feeling sad, seasonal affective disorder. Some people call it the winter blues, and how it's actually turned my whole outlook of autumn into a more positive one. For example, now I'm actually looking forward to autumn, whereas for the last, for many years, even way back in the day, I'd say for about 10 years, this would be the time that I would completely dread going back to work, going back to study, etc., because it just felt like a real drag. The weather would be darker. If you live in the UK, you would know that definitely the skies are usually grey anyway, but when it comes to the end of summer, there is this huge shift that happens, this shift of energy, this shift of temperature, and it gets extremely dark and really gloomy outside. You know, you wake up in the dark, you go back to work, and you come back home in the dark, and it's that kind of feeling where you're almost surrounded and engulfed in darkness. And this is probably one of the biggest challenges for me over the years, to work with that energy within myself. And I've started actually sharing these tips with my clients because a lot of them have asked me similar questions about how to deal with it. And so hopefully they might help you in some way. So let's jump straight to the first tip. And I'm going to share 5 in total, but this is one of the foundational tips, which is to learn how to honor each season, even if it's very challenging. All of us will naturally connect with one season or 2 or 3 seasons, even more than the other. All of us will have like a favorite season and a least favorite season. Most of us who experience sad winter blues around this time probably enjoy spring and summer much more than autumn and winter. And during the time where we're ending summer and you're feeling the coldness and you're feeling that energy where everyone's returning back to work and study and routines, and you're feeling that, you know, the shift in energy, this can be a huge shock to the system, because generally, as part of nature, we are part of nature. As the natural cycles change, obviously the way we connect with each season and what it brings out within us will change as well. So let's begin with spring and summer. Obviously, it's much more lighter. The energy is much more lighter. We work with our upper chakras. We work with a much more external energy, so the solar energy, which feels much more energized, full of fire. And the opposite happens when we shift into autumn and winter, where it's more lunar energy. It's darker outside. Nature is actually asking us to go within. So instead of having that external energy from spring and summer, we have that shift where we're slowly being asked to go within through the darkness of the nature and cold, and feeling like going into hibernation, where we connect with our lower chakras more, which is to do with creativity, our emotions, taking things at a much more slower pace as well, which is one of the things I think a lot of people feel the most. When the energy slows down, when everything slows down, this is when people start to notice that change within different seasons, between seasons. So during the year, I'd say that the beginning of spring, so the end of winter, beginning of spring, is a big shift. And then again, from the end of summer to beginning of autumn is another big shift. When we approach spring, we're actually speeding up our energy, we're working with lighter energy, and our energy levels might rise as well. Nature is calling us to wake up a little bit more, to go out, do things. When we head into autumn, it's time to slow things down, it's time to hibernate, it's time to connect with energy on a much more feminine, internal, receptive mode. Whereas in summer and spring, it's all about action, more masculine energy. So once we understand a little bit about why each season brings out different things and how nature and how we on a personal level also respond to this, we can change things up in our own life and really start to appreciate each season more. And the next tips will stem off from this tip, so we'll explore a little bit more on how you can actually make the most of the energy changes in general. So leading on from the first tip, I want to talk about a word that has been used a lot in the last couple of years and has become quite popular, and I hope I'm saying it right. It's called hygge. Hygge? I hope I'm not butchering that word, but it's essentially a Danish word that means the feeling of coziness. So if you can imagine doing cozy things when it's cold outside, it can be any time of the year, but for me, I generally feel it works best for me during the colder times. So you're doing cozy things indoors, you're really indulging in self-care, and that's what hygge is all about. It's about slowing things down, enjoying simple pleasures in life with people, with yourself, doing things that you really enjoy doing. And I think especially in Denmark, the northern hemisphere, the northern part of Europe, they really indulge in this the most because of the weather and the darkness that happens, and maybe in other parts of the world too. But it is a reminder to just enjoy that cozy feeling. So for example, now as we head out of summer into autumn, I'm actually looking forward to bringing out all my blankets, all my warm socks at home. I've actually done like a clear out of my bedroom and my home. So instead of a spring clean, I've done an autumn clean, and I've put in more things around the house to engage with my senses. So for example, I'd have incense around the house, a lot more essential oils, a lot more colors that reflect autumn, such as deep oranges, deep reds, deeper colors, deep purples. That's another favorite that I have around the house. And lighting as well, that's another thing that connects with the senses. During autumn, winter, really working with lighting. During the day, when you're starting your day, enjoy lighting that's much more brighter or natural light. Try and have the windows as open as possible, even if it's gray outside, for example, like today. Just taking in as much light as possible. And then at nighttime, I love to dim down all the lights, have a good book, maybe just watch a nice movie or something, cozy up with some good food, etc. Just get that feeling of coziness at home. And it actually gives me something to look forward to when I come back from work or a long day and I've gone out when it's dark and I'm coming back when it's dark, and I have that sacred space where I'm just enjoying simple pleasures at home. And for me, that's what hygge means, but it's an experimental thing. Find out what makes you connect with that comfort feeling, that happy feeling of just being really content and just doing simple things where you can create, enjoy, and connect with people as well. So the next tip follows on from the last tip, which is about revising and looking at your daily routines. So the routines that you have in spring and summer will probably be very different in autumn, winter. It could be because you're indoors more, it could be because you're returning back to your normal routines at work, at school, that sort of thing. So it's time to revise your routines and use it as an opportunity to connect with your creative self the most. This is the time where I actually feel the most creative and where I start projects. And this is probably why most of us go back to school, go back to work, almost like a fresh start. It's an opportunity to create new seeds where we can work on these projects and our internal world during the autumn and winter. And by the time it reaches spring and summer, it's time to use that energy and channel out what we've been working on. So showing off what we worked on during the colder times during the year. So for me, I definitely love to do more home practices, journaling, listening to new music. I create space at home where I can do more home practice when it comes to yoga and meditation and reflection work. I also use more time where I create routine where the closest people that I connect with on a deeper level come home and we can have a meal together. So routines doesn't have to necessarily mean anything related to work. It can be things that you generally love to do to connect yourself deeper and also to connect with others on a deeper level. So for me, food is a whole tip in itself because each season will have seasonal foods, and I love autumn for this. It's such a beautiful time to go to the farmers markets, to explore new recipes, to go online, look on YouTube and find all these beautiful new recipes to try at home and also to share with friends and family. I personally love autumn because the food actually has a much more earthing quality as well and much more grounding quality. So a general tip that I would give is, as you're transitioning from spring and summer to autumn and winter, start to eat more foods that grow underneath the ground. Whereas in spring and summer, we tend to eat more foods that grow above the ground, such as fruits and that sort of thing. Whereas in autumn and winter, I love to use more root vegetables, more grounding foods. I will put a link below so you can see generally what type of foods each season will show you, and just have this time to experiment, have this time to try new things, to enjoy yourself in the kitchen, and to bring along a friend or your partner to share these recipes with. Okay, so the last tip is something that you're probably not going to feel like doing, but I encourage you to go out and do it anyway. Go out in nature and take a walk and make it part of your regular routine during autumn and winter. Even if it's really cold outside, take some nice cozy clothing, big boots, and make it a really special time where you connect with nature. And once you make this part of your regular routine, you'll actually feel more grounded. You'll connect with nature much more deeper because nature will be showing you all the different changes, and also you will observe how you are connecting with each season fully. Begin to notice what's coming up within you as you're going outside and you're observing nature. And take as much sun and light as possible. Even if there is no sun, take as much light as possible and you'll feel much more lighter, especially if you're having a really bad day and your energy levels don't feel great. Go outside, take a walk, observe nature, bring your focus into what's going on around you, and enjoy the season for what it shows you. So these are 5 simple tips. I will leave my blog post below, which will have many more tips on how to enjoy autumn and winter and how to try and release some of the symptoms that you might feel with sad or winter blues. And I hope this helps you in some way. Feel free to leave a comment below if you have anything that you love to do in the beginning of autumn and winter, and share it with all of us. I'd love to know what you like to do. So thanks for taking the time to watch. I'll be back soon.